Everybody, you know what time it is. It is On the Mark Wrestling Podcast time, people. Welcome to the show. This is episode 51. 51, baby. We hit the 50s, my brother. Now we're in the weird numbers right now, like 51, 52. It won't be big again until we hit 60, right, Lewis? It won't be big enough, right? Until we hit 60.
Well, even so, I think we can consider ourselves senior citizens of the podcast game. Because we're crossing the senior citizens retirement age number. You know what I mean?
We are, my brother. Welcome to another episode of on the Mark Wrestling Podcast. I'm your boy Kyote, joined by none other than Lewis himself, rocking the one of a kind WrestleMania jersey, baby. I like that. That's pretty. That's nice, man. I might have to see what you got over there. You got a collection.
I'm feeling myself.
You are feeling yourself, man.
I like collecting the hard to find exclusive WrestleMania jerseys that you can only get at the Superstore. So I want to give a special shout out to my man Gio. He's been a guest on this podcast. He's been our number one supporter. So thank you for copping this at the Superstore when you were in attendance in Philly for WrestleMania weekend.
I messed up big time. I should have hit Gio up. I didn't even think about it because, like you said, when we were talking before we went on, right? You said they might have some stuff at the Superstore that you ain't going to be able to find, and they did, and they do, and I always mess up big time on it. But I'm going to give me something next year wherever they are, and the rumors are not Tony Khan, the other Khan, the other Khan, Nick Khan. Is apparently mulling over some WrestleMania venues for 41. Right now, Vegas looks like it might be the winner. And if it's Vegas...
I read that, Kyote. I did read that.
Oh, boy.
That changes a lot because, just to piggyback on what you were saying, so I've also read that WWE wants to get away from the open air East Coast, Midwest cold weather stadiums, just because
never know.
It's kind of a logistic pain in the ass, right? Yeah, you don't want a WrestleMania atmosphere where it's like 40 below and it's damp, and then there's the chance of storms and things like that. So I know that Minneapolis was in the running, but I don't know. I think Minneapolis might get screwed over. I think they might favor Vegas because the weather's going to be warmer. Yeah. And is there a roof in where the Raiders play?
I want to say there is.
Okay, so there you go. That's a no-brainer for WWE. If going forward they just do. Oh, that's what I read. They said that they might just consider from going forward, one, not competing with NCAA stuff, so no March Madness games or anything like that, and then two, having them at Super Bowl stadiums. So meaning wherever the Super Bowl is hosted, then they'll follow suit or something along those lines.
Listen, man, Mania is doing numbers, right? Yeah, so for them to want to go into some Super Bowl stadiums and also be in warmer climate to attract more people, to get bigger names coming out, it makes sense. It makes sense. They were lucky with Philly. Philly could have rained all weekend. It could have. Can you imagine that? Lewis, can you imagine you and I spent $700 on these seats? Oof. And we are stuck in rain for 2 nights. Can you imagine that?
That would have been horrible.
Horrible.
The people that I've spoken to, I know a couple of people that were in attendance, and they said night one was cold, right?
Yeah,
it was damp because by the time the main event came, you're just kind of all right, let's get this shit over with. But night two was considerably warmer. So listen, I guess that was the trade off, right?
Listen, I'll take some cold over some rain, though. I'll take cold.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll sit in the cold. I'll just be bundled up. I got jackets and layers on. I'll be good. But some rain, though, nah, man. I'm going to be asking for some sort of compensation back. I need something. T-shirt, something. But listen, man, we got a good show for the people, man. Tonight is solely based on some AEW stuff. AEW's got a big pay-per-view coming up this weekend, AEW Dynasty.
Oh, yeah.
And on paper, the card looks pretty solid. So let's get right into it. All right, so Rhea before we get into AEW and everything AEW, let's talk about Rhea Ripley real quick. Rhea had to relinquish the title on Raw because of an injury to the shoulder that was given to her by none other than Liv Morgan, who is the same person she injured that took out Liv Morgan for 8 months. Wow. Is karma real or not?
Seriously, that is some bad karma.
Yeah, Lewis, what do you make of this, man? I feel so bad for Rhea, but I've been listening to a lot of other podcast journalists out there, right? The people who know the know, right? And they've been saying this is actually pretty good for Rhea. This is actually pretty good because after Mania, she had her big Mania win. After Mania, really nothing's happening, nothing's kind of going on, and this gives Rhea time to kind of go off, reinvent, maybe change up a look here and there, maybe do something with the music, maybe do something with the look, and come back, and she's going to be so over, it's going to be crazy. So I think this might be actually, I might agree with some of them. I think this might actually help her in the long run. What do you think?
Well, now that you frame it that way, I kind of agree. But when I read the initial report earlier in the day before Raw went on the air, I was like, man, such bad timing, but the timing could have been worse because she could have gotten injured 2 weeks prior to WrestleMania, and then everything would have gone to shit for the women's championship picture. But yeah, I think it sucks because Rhea is definitely firing on all cylinders.
Man.
She is the hottest female in all of women's wrestling, period. She's over with the men. She's over with the
kids,
the women, the kids.
The women, yeah.
Like, she's just over,
the emo kids, too. Don't forget about the emo people, man. The emos, she brought that back.
Yeah,
the goth and all that.
Yeah, the gothic, the emo, she brought all that back. Yeah. So it just sucks that she's got to relinquish the title now. But going off of what you said, I think this is an amazing opportunity for her to incorporate reality into this whole storyline of she gets injured by the same person that she put on the shelf. Mm-hmm. So she can take this time to come back and switch up, make some alterations to her look, maybe the theme music. Hey, maybe she turns on the Judgment Day and she goes full-fledged babyface.
There you go.
She's over enough to do a face turn. So
absolutely.
I think she's going to come back stronger than ever. I just think it sucks because now the top woman in all of WWE is gone.
Yeah.
And you now you're going to crown a new women's world champion next week on Raw.
Next week on Raw.
Right before the draft. So we'll see. They got to hit the reset button essentially.
Who are you thinking they might even give this title to? I'm telling you right now, Lewis, man. I got nobody in mind. I take that back. There's one person I got in mind. One. And this is a long shot, but it could work because they've been framing her to sort of be relevant. And that's Nia Jax. I don't know. That's Nia Jax. I can't think of anybody who else on the roster right now who would be even close to touching that title because they haven't really framed anybody else, right? It was Becky and Rhea at the top. Then everybody, unless something happens with the draft and someone else from SmackDown comes over to Raw and then they win that title, that's a possibility. That's a possibility for Bianca, maybe. I don't know if they want to split Bianca up with Jade. I think her and Jade have kind of been working well together. I think Bianca's there to kind of almost guide Jade in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nia Jax came to mind. She cut a promo on Raw this past Monday. She looked amazing as always, and she's menacing. I don't know. Maybe they're positioning her. What do you think?
I can see that. If you're gonna put the title on anybody who has been putting in the work, is Nia Jax. Ever since she came back, when was it? Last year, I think.
Last year.
Yeah, she looks pretty good, as far as, compared to what she used to look like, weight-wise and whatnot. Like, see, before she was imposing, but it was like out of shape imposing almost.
Yeah.
This time she looks physically menacing, but she looks more fit and then she's moving around a lot better. I wouldn't be mad at it. You know, I'm not the biggest Nia Jax fan, but I wouldn't be mad at it if they gave her the title.
I just can't think of anybody else, man. Like honestly,
Liv Morgan. I mean, do you give the title to Liv Morgan?
is that too predictable though? Like you give it to Liv right after she just injured Rhea, and then I like the Liv Morgan revenge tour thing. I'm digging it because it's turning her heel essentially,
Yeah.
and then with this last move with her really injuring Rhea, you got to turn her now because she's just gonna get booed everywhere she goes. So you kind of have to turn her now.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Her winning the title, that's a possibility, man. I'm open to see what they do with this. I think Nia's high on my list. I think maybe Liv, and then maybe some surprise like that comes over from SmackDown. I just don't know what the plan on how the pivot is, but we'll see. But let's go into. I want to get into AEW. I want to get into the ass real quick, Lewis.
Oh yeah.
We gotta talk. So AEW Dynamite ratings was crazy last week, and we all know why. The infamous video that kind of shot them in the face a little bit, like backfired, not a little bit, maybe a lot. Some people were like, "What are you doing? What was the purpose of this? Why AEW?" And their ratings was like in the 800,000s, which was good for them, right? But this week dropped right back down. And this was essentially the go home show for their pay-per-view on Sunday. So yes, they do have Collision left, but this is their flagship show. So this essentially was like the go home show, right? But yeah, man, what do you make of the ratings? You could touch upon a little bit of the video, the infamous video that they didn't even mention this week, by the way. Didn't even touch it. They were like, nah, we ain't going to touch that. Today's meeting is about not talking about the video we played last week. What's going on here, man? The show was loaded. Mercedes, you had Swerve, you had Hank, you had Joe, you had the Bucks. I mean, Okada,
Osprey.
The show was loaded. So what do you think, man?
I don't know what to make of anything in terms of their decreasing viewership. It's just,
I don't know.
It's been a gradual decline, and even with all of these big signings that they were hyping up for months, there is just not enough interest with AEW right now with the general audience. There's been such a dip in their fan base, and it's amazing. Like, they're not selling out shows the way they used to. Now the average is 700,000, 700 and change.
Yeah,
that's your average now. They saw a spike because of the controversial footage last week, but man, oh man, now you're back down to 7 and change on your go home show. On essentially your go home show.
Yeah, that's brutal.
What is going on? Like, what else? What else could they possibly do? I'm really starting to think AEW is in trouble. I'm kind of leaning towards that because yes, the wrestling is the matches themselves are always going to be quality. They're always going to be quality. AEW, and I will stand on this. AEW puts on the best pay-per-view events in the entire industry.
100%.
From a bell to bell in ring action standpoint. I don't care about all the bells and whistles of production and pyro and the presentation that WWE has. They got good PLEs, and WWE's product, we all know, has gotten considerably better over the past year.
Right.
But AEW's pay-per-view events are unmatched from start to finish when you're talking about instant classics, borderline classics, just really fucking great wrestling.
Yeah, I agree.
However, something is just not connecting with the general audience on a week-to-week basis. The talent is there. It's not like you don't have a loaded roster. You just named quite a few people. You got Swerve, Moxley, Danielson, Osprey, Okada, Mercedes.
And that's not counting the people who are missing.
Right, and you're missing MJF, Adam Cole. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have a loaded roster, But what is happening? Why aren't people as big on AEW as they used to be? I mean, we can have answers and we can spend all episode on it, but it's concerning, man. It's concerning the fact that just 2 years ago, AEW was averaging 900,000 to 1 million viewers per week.
Right.
They were doing big ass numbers.
Yeah.
Now you're struggling to even hover over 800,000.
Struggling, bro. Yo, it's not a good look, man.
It's not.
And with the stacked roster, like you just mentioned, they should be doing way better. And I think one of the issues is that AEW could be a little bit what's the word? They could be a little meta, right? Their world is consumed by only those who really know what's happening in the AEW world, right? They're not trying to get the new fan that's interested but doesn't know much about it. They're not introducing the product in a way that attracts those fans. And this has been a thing with AEW forever. Like they've been doing this forever. How they counter that, I don't know, man. And at this point, we're 5 years in. I don't know how you counter that. Like I don't know how. I really don't know. I think another thing is they got to make their people feel like stars, Lewis. Like, there's stars on the show that feel like independent contractors. There's no person who feels like the man. But I will say that your boy Ospreay is starting to feel like the man.
Oh yeah.
He's starting to feel like the guy that they're about to throw in main events, winning titles, being the mega baby face of the company. I think they're leading towards that. And a good look for Ospreay because everyone loves him. And not only do they love him, but his level of ring work is far beyond anybody can even touch in AEW. If it's not an Omega who doesn't come who's close, but ain't Ospreay. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. The decline is crazy, but the increase is interesting because that shows you that if AEW promoted something that was a little more exciting or something different, people would tune in and watch.
True.
It's just unfortunate it's drama that they're turning into tuning in to watch. It's just drama. Yeah. It's drama that they're doing. So
it is.
I don't know, Lewis. So we'll see. We'll keep track of the ratings for AEW and see what happens to them. But let's get into some of this AEW Dynasty pay-per-view. So Dynasty is this Sunday with a pretty, would you say pretty stacked card? Like a pretty it's interesting card.
It's a solid card for it not being one of their marquee events. You know what I'm saying? And this is the first time that they're throwing together a pay-per-view. Like this is the first Dynasty pay-per-view, basically. It's not Double or Nothing or Full Gear or All In or All Out. So yeah, it's a stacked card. Let's read over the matches.
Yeah, let's do that.
So you have the Acclaimed versus Bullet Club Gold for the ROH and AEW Trios Tag Team Championship match.
So winner takes all. Okay.
Yeah. So that's gonna be like a little unification title.
I like it.
You got Adam Copeland, aka Edge.
Okay.
Eddie Kingston and Mark Briscoe versus House of Black. That's pretty good.
That's good.
You have Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. That has the potential to be an instant classic.
That might be.
I mean, two of the best wrestlers in the world, legit.
Would you say that has the potential of possibly being like a match of the year quality?
Absolutely, no doubt,
Okay.
no doubt.
Okay.
Bryan Danielson has been itching to face someone like he's going to leave it all in the ring.
Yeah.
So I expect nothing less but a match of the year candidate.
Yeah, that's exciting. Can't wait. Yeah.
Roderick Strong versus Kyle O'Reilly for the AEW International Championship.
Not mad at that.
Yeah, I am mad at that. And there's a lot of history with them, so
that's going to be a good match.
Yeah, it should be good.
Yeah.
Okada versus Pac for the Continental title, whatever the fuck that belt is called.
Right.
The Continental. Continental Championship, the Continental Crown.
Yeah,
I don't know what the hell it's called.
It's another belt.
But in any case, Okada versus Pac. That's gonna be. That might be runner up. That might be runner up. Yeah, that's gonna be a banger because
Yeah.
anytime Pat gets in the ring,
Mm-hmm.
it's good. Uh, one of the marquee matches, the Young Bucks versus FTR ladder match, AEW Tag Team Titles.
I forgot about that match. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I like how they added that ladder match stipulation because that's what AEW does best: pop the marks. And if I paid my hard-earned money for a pay-per-view, I want to see someone diving off a damn ladder.
There we go.
You know what I mean?
I'm digging it. Okay, okay. That's up. All right.
Let's see. Julia Hart versus Willow Nightingale.
I like
TBS title.
I like it. Okay.
I like Willow, you know.
Yeah.
Julia's okay. Nothing special, but I like Willow. I think Willow goes over here. And then that sets up Willow versus Mercedes.
Yeah, Mercedes says she's gonna be in the building. So we'll see what Mercedes does in this whole thing. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Tony Storm versus Thunder Rosa, AEW Women's World Championship. That should be pretty good.
I like it.
And the main event, Samoa Joe versus Swerve Strickland, AEW World Championship. That's going to be a very, very good main event. I don't know who goes over, but we can get into that in a minute.
Lewis, man, just what you read. Yo, they're missing MJF. They're missing Cole. They're missing Miro. They're missing
Moxley's not on the card.
Moxley's not even on the card.
Yeah.
Omega's not even on. Yo, for those main guys to be off the card and to still have that on paper, I think it's gonna be entertaining, man. I can't see where you go wrong. Every match has something that's very interesting.
Yeah. And every match has been built up well. It's not like these are matches that are just thrown randomly, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, let's give it up for AEW because give it up. They did their thing in terms of the building of this match. Of the card. They did their thing. The card is pretty solid, and the stories that they were telling also they worked. I mean, for AEW, they worked. Now, I don't want to go over every match. I want to go to the meat and potatoes of these matches. Let's go Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland. And a wrestling formula. If you watched Dynamite last night, Samoa Joe stood over your boy Swerve Strickland after delivering the muscle buster, right? That's usually the formula that says that's the guy going over. So I wonder if this is us, if they're swerving us, right? If they're making us think, because us marks, right? We know that when someone does something like that, that means that guy's going over. But is this Swerve's time? Do you crown Swerve? Do you have to crown Swerve right now? That's the point. Because at All In England, it's a good chance that they're going to definitely crown your boy Ospreay. That's going to be his crowning moment. So what do you do? Do you give it to Swerve and have him do a short run? Because it'll be short. It'll be May, June, July. It'll be 3.5 months. So I think you pull the trigger on Swerve right now. But Joe is so good. Joe is so good as a heel champion. He's been great.
He has been.
I just don't know how you do this where someone doesn't get affected by it. And Swerve's hot right now, and I think you might have to just give it to him right now and let him ride off. And I don't know. Maybe they might have something different for Ospreay in All In. Maybe he won't be going after the title because it might be a little too soon. Maybe they do a little Cody thing with him, right? And may have him chase it. Because you don't want to throw it on him right now, do you? Like it'll be like 5-6 months of him being in the company. Like, do you really want to throw it on him right now, or what do you think, Lewis? I don't know. My mind is just going. What do you think?
I've been torn about this for the past month or so. Yeah. So Swerve is, they've pushed him to be one of the top baby faces in the company, and he's putting on great matches and he's clicking with the crowd. He's doing everything right. And that's why I think part of me believes that Swerve will emerge victorious and become world champion. The other part of me is saying Swerve maybe has his time later on this year. Maybe now is not the time. You keep the title on Joe, have him continue his monstrous reign as the
Right.
top heel, and then eventually maybe set up Joe versus Osprey at All In if they want to wait that long. But then what do you do with Swerve?
Right.
Do they strike while the iron is hot? I'm really torn, and that's a good thing, because that means as I'm watching the main event, I I won't I won't know what to expect. I don't know
Exactly.
if Joe gets the win or if Swerve gets the win. But
Exactly.
either way, I know it's going to be a great match, and I think so. If Joe retains, the fans in attendance will be disappointed, but I don't think they're going to be super mad about it,
No. It won't be like a
because
riot, like a Cody Roman
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
It won't
yeah.
be like that.
Yeah, because Swerve, he just got to main event level status late last year.
Yeah.
So they could just be playing the long, long game with Swerve. But
But Lewis, the thing
I
is,
don't
man,
know.
Swerve is hot right now, and I don't know if you can sustain that
Yeah.
till August or whatever next pay-per-view they have, or Double or Nothing, right? But because if you do it at Double or Nothing, all you do is chopping away time that he has the title. If you're really going to have him drop, or have all, if the plans are to have Osprey be the guy in England, in Wembley, then why are you killing the amount of time that Swerve would have to hold the title? So maybe you do give it to him here, and maybe you have to, Lewis. Maybe you have to. Like I, like
It's
maybe
true
you have to,
though.
because I don't know how
It's
many
true.
times Prince Nana coming out like that. I don't know. I don't know if this. I don't know if this is gonna, if it's gonna, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know how long that's gonna last,
yeah.
Lewis.
Okay, Weezy, you got the moves,
Yeah,
man. You
you
just
feel me?
like,
You know what I'm saying?
and I swerve when I drive, and
Yo, I just don't know how long that's gonna last, man. Like,
It's true. No, you're right. You're right. You may have to put the title on him. But you said something interesting earlier, that maybe he has a short run. Maybe you put the title on him as a test run, have him win it, and then drop it at the next pay per view. Maybe that's too soon.
no, that's too soon.
Or you drop it at Forbidden Door. Like give him like a 2 month reign and see. Just give him a test run to see if he actually is the draw that
He comes
people
off
the
to be,
fan
and the
right,
fans,
like
yeah.
the fans think he is, because as of right now their ratings are declining, and it doesn't seem like Swerve is much of a needle mover in terms of numbers.
Nah,
So I say, if he's that over, give him the title and see what happens over the course of 8-9 weeks, with him as the champion, and being the face of the brand.
you kind of have to just do it. You know what I'm saying? Like you just
Yeah,
said, you kind of have to just see what happens, and just you test his draw, test if he's a draw, and then go from
yeah,
there, man.
for sure.
Another match I want to get into is the Osprey and Bryan Danielson.
Woo wee!
Man,
That is every wrestling nerd's dream.
Lewis, I can't wait for this match.
Yeah.
It's going to be, listen, I don't want to hype myself up, but I'm thinking it's going to be amazing. Not just on the technical side, but on the high flying side, the psychology of move sets and selling, and I think it's just going to be a master class in all aspects of the styles that they both represent. Um, and I think Osprey goes over, obviously, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Osprey goes over. It wouldn't make sense for Danielson to go over,
right, right.
because
So
this is Osprey's biggest match since debuting with the company,
this
and
is the biggest one.
you don't. Yeah, no, you don't have Danielson go over. Danielson is on his way out.
Yeah. That's another thing, right? Danielson should now start doing the jobs, right? This is
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
where this is where you start putting some people over. You deliver great matches, but you got to give my man the rub over here, right? You got to hook him up, and this is a big one for Osprey, and I think it's gonna be great, man. I think it's gonna be. I think they're gonna deliver. What do you think? Osprey goes over for sure, and then do you think the match will deliver on everyone's like list of like, this is a major dream match, this better deliver? Like, you think it's going to deliver?
yes, I do,
Okay.
because again, Danielson has been wanting this match for a long time. Will Osprey is freakishly athletic, and almost does no wrong. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like with his acrobatics and his agility and everything, and then with Brian Daniels' technical wrestling, this could be match of the year, or
Mm,
at least close to it. You know,
definitely could be.
time will tell. But I have the utmost faith that it'll be the match of the night for
Okay.
sure. I think it's gonna be the best match on the card.
Best
That
match on the
is
card.
that. This is the match that most people are probably looking forward to the most.
Okay. Now let's take it to Pac and Okada because that's like my third match on the list.
Yeah,
Pac and Okada. I don't even know where they can go with this, to tell you the truth. Um, Again, another match of the night contender, a possible match of the year contender, in my opinion.
sure.
Pac is just ridiculous. You forget how good he is when you see him too. Like you
It's
forget
true.
how good he is. And Okada is just so there's just he just knows what to do in the ring. Like
He's a
there's nothing
star.
yeah, there's nothing flashy about him, but the way he just executes moves and things like that just is so good. Like you just like he's he's a natural. Like like he's a
Yeah,
natural. He
yeah.
just knows what he's doing. Is this your third match of the night? Would you or you got something else on the card that you're kind of looking forward to?
I mean, I'm looking forward to FTR and the Young Bucks. That ladder match is gonna be fire. I'm looking forward to um like the women's side of it. Like I'm
Okay.
just looking forward to there. I don't think there's any match on this card where I could say, I don't really care for it. Like
Mm,
maybe Julia Hart versus Willow Nightingale, but even that's interesting because you got
right.
Mercedes in the background. So
Exactly.
every match that's on this card is intriguing in some way, shape, or form. So yeah.
Where do they go with Tony Storm after this? Because she ain't dropping the Thunder Rosa. So what does she do? Because there seems to be no credible threat. And if they are
No.
pivoting Monet to be after the TBS championship, who in the hell is going for the women's title? I don't want to see Deanna Perrazzo. I don't want to see her. I don't want to see Thunder Rosa again after this. And then who does that leave? Does a Britt Baker come back? Does uh, uh what's the other one from England? Oh man, I forgot her name.
Mariah May?
Not
No.
Mariah May. The one that got injured. And she's been out for a minute.
Uh,
Oh
uh,
man,
oh, I'm drawing a blank too.
what is her? Damn, jeez, forgot her
Yeah,
name.
yeah, I'm drawing a blank.
Forgot her name, but she could.
Jamie Hayter.
Jamie Hayter,
She might fuck around and make a surprise return. Actually,
bro. We haven't seen Jamie. It has to have been a year, right, or close to it.
close to it. Yeah, and
We
that was
haven't.
an unfortunate injury too because she was hot at the time right before she left.
Yeah, we haven't seen Jamie in a minute. So Jamie, Britt are they're making their appear. They're making they're coming back between now and Double or Nothing. It's
Mm,
good. It's got to be in that time, or even maybe Forbidden Door. I'll give it
yeah,
that stretch of time, but
I would think so too.
I wouldn't think that long. So we'll see. But Monet looks like she's pivoting towards that TBS championship, and like you mentioned before, she might want to get her hands on Willow for injuring her ankle in a wrestling match that normally injuries would happen, and it wasn't
Yeah,
technically her fault because she didn't. It just I hope they develop that story a little more because it's kind of like
yeah, that's what I'm wanting.
we're kind of stretching this here, guys. Like, are we really saying that someone couldn't naturally get hurt with an ankle in an injury in a wrestling match? But we shall see, my friend. Anything else, man? Are we missing anything, Lewis?
I do want to comment on the ladder match.
Ah, yes.
Who goes over here?
Oof.
Do we stay the course and have the Young Bucks win the titles, the evil executive vice presidents, or do we have FTR win the titles?
I
Because
don't.
I think the story that they're telling is that one way or another we're gonna get the first ever 3-time AEW tag team champions. Because the Young Bucks won it twice, FTR won it twice.
So I really don't know because I don't think the Bucks need it, and
No, they don't.
I think FTR would benefit from it. So if I had to, if if I was booking this, I'd have FTR go over, because I feel like they need a big win. I just don't feel like I've seen FTR with a major win on a major pay-per-view recently. I don't know if it's just me not remembering, but I don't remember the last time they've held the titles up and been AEW tag team champions and dominant for a while. Like, I just don't remember that. The Bucks don't need it. They have this gimmick. They have Okada. They have the Elite. They really don't need it, but it would elevate their ridiculousness on terms. Now they're champions. So it would be interesting to see, but I think FTR kind of needs that momentum, that push. And I think the titles might do it for them. So I think FTR goes over.
That's a tough call, man. That's a really tough call because I'm really digging Young Bucks' current heel run and this version of their characters, like the elitist douchebags. So I'm gonna go with the Young Bucks. I think you put I think you put the title on the Young Bucks and just have FTR continue to chase them.
Okay.
That's my bold prediction for that.
That's a bold prediction. I'm not, listen, I see where your head is at. I agree. I also agree with that. It just makes sense too. But I think FTR needs it a little more, man. I think
you could be right.
I feel like they've been a little stale. They need some sort of push, momentum. And I think the tag team titles, every time FTR wore gold, they seemed big. So, and every time the Bucks wore gold, it just was like, they don't really need it. Like, in my opinion, I was like, oh, that's cool, but they're the Bucks, and they could get it anytime they want. I don't know. I just think FTR could use this. I think FTR could use this. Yeah, man. Anything? Yeah. I think we knocked it out the park today, right? I think we hit AEW. Today was AEW heavy because of their major pay-per-view Dynasty this Sunday night. It's a Sunday, right? I just want to make sure I'm telling people.
Yes, sir. This Sunday, April 21st.
On all pay-per-view thingies that you buy on, whatever you buy pay-per-view on these days, right? I can't believe people are still buying pay-per-view.
Unless you watch it for free.
Unless you wink. yeah, right. Yeah. But yeah, man, this is On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Join us next week. Maybe some more drama comes out with something. Catch us on YouTube. Now we're on YouTube. The videos are going to be up on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Amazon. Anywhere you find us. Facebook, Instagram. We're there now, y'all. Check out the Facebook page. And until next time, y'all.
You've been listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, a Scriptly adapted production. Follow us on Instagram and YouTube at On the Mark Wrestling, and email us at onthemarkpodcast@gmail.com.